Hey, hey, whoa, whoa. Dun-dun-dun, boom, boom, boom. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Who else's jam has that become here in 2021? It's mine. What? Why? Because that means it's time for Leadership Live. And I am so excited. Why? Boom, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Because hey, week 49 of Leadership Live. It's marking boom, 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 boom. The end of 2021 Leadership Live. Leadership Live 2021 with Dr. Renita and friends. This is our final episode of the year. Can you believe it? And I know some of you all are like, Dr. Renita, maybe I need to help you with your mathematics. Maybe you need to go back to elementary school. There are 52 weeks in a year. I know. Don't play me like that. I know they're 52 weeks, but we had 2 weeks where life happened, and we got some recaps from 2019. I hope you caught them because those 2019 episodes are few and far between. You cannot catch those all the time. You're special if you get to see those. So we had to watch 2 of those, but then life caught itself back up because in January, I promised you 52 episodes. And I know some of y'all are like, lady, I don't even know who you are. I'm coming with it, but let me tell you what I told the people. I promised them back at January, that I'm going to have 52 guests, right? I over-delivered. Why? Because as of last week, I already had 54. She had 54 guests. Yes, she had 54 guests. But we got another week. We got this week. We got today. We got tonight. And we're coming with guest number 55. So I have already over-delivered. What do you know about over-delivery? Leaders, what do leaders do? Sometimes we under-promise and over-deliver. And I have done that. And am doing it here in 2021. So I'm excited about our guest tonight. But for those of you all who are like, lady, you still haven't told me who you are. I'm ready. Here we go. I am Dr. Renita. I am an educational leadership strategist. And what does that mean? That means I love to work with growing and aspiring leaders to become more authentic in their leadership, to inspire their fellowship and empower their fellowship. And at the end of the day, have a greater impact on the world. And one of those things that I do as an educational leadership strategist is host Leadership Live. And what is Leadership Live? It's a sharing of journeys. Back in 2019, God went, hey, Renita. And I said, what, God? And God said, baby, I need you to share your journey. I need you to share those ups, those downs, those trials, tribulations, and triumphs, which I shared another set of them back in 2016, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. And I shared my stories and I shared the lessons that I learned for 52 weeks back in 2019. It was like at the end of the year, like, oh, Lord Jesus, I'm tired. And 2020 happened, and we all know what happened in 2020. It was a pandemic, a panna cotta, a panorama, whatever you call it. It was one of those. Yeah, we had that. And then at the end of 2020, God said, hey, baby doll. And I say, yes, God, because, I'm becoming more, excited about God because he does amazing things. And I said, yes, God. And God said, baby, I need you to do Leadership Live again. And I said, whoa, Lord Jesus. I got nothing left. And he said, I wasn't finished. Don't be interrupting me. And so I stopped interrupting him. And he said, I need you to do it with friends. And so here in the year of 2021, I promised you all 52 guests. I am getting ready to introduce you to guest number 55. Hey, look at God want to do it. He said he's going to give us life and life more abundantly. He's given us guest and guest abundantly. But who else am I? I am also the author of Stepmom, Trials, Tribulations, and Triumphs, as well as While You Are Sleeping, The Perfect Children of All Ages book. I am a wife and mother of 4. Yeah, 4. And I own 2 and I birthed 2. And, that journey, it's a blended family journey and it's not easy. But in Stepmom, you learn all about ours. So hopefully it would empower and inspire you in your own. I am also the founder of The Refining Life, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to provide you with experiences to have your mindset shifted so that you can lead a more positive and productive life. And in year 2022, we got some things coming for you. From January all the way to December, make sure you're following The Refining Life on Instagram, Facebook, www.therefininglife.com. Make sure you join us. We are going to have quite a journey and your minds will be refined in 2022. I'm also a veteran educator. I have served grades kindergarten through college. I am a mentor, a mentee. I am a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I am excited. But as also, honey, I am a queen and a queen. I'm a queen because I am. Yes, right? I'm a queen just because I'm me. Yes, yes, yes. But I am also a queen. I am the current reigning Elite Southern Charms North Carolina Ultimate Grand Supreme, as well as the Mrs. Black North Carolina, which title is getting ready to be fulfilled by someone else March 6th. I'm telling you, you have an opportunity. Follow noirproductions.com and you can potentially become the next Ms. or Miss Black North Carolina. Amazing things happening with that system. Also, Elite Southern Charms is getting ready to have their national in January, and I think they have some important titles that are available. Make sure you go to elitesouthernCharms.com and follow them also on Facebook and Instagram. But all that being said is that I'm so excited about life. I'm excited about what God has done in 2021. I'm also excited about 2022, but let's not get ahead of ourselves because 2021 is not over. For all of you all who already started to move to 2022, pump your brakes. Do that for me. In your leadership life, pump your brakes because 2021 is not over. God can still do some things that he hasn't done yet. Here in 2021, I know it's the 30th. I know the month ends on the 31st. Y'all already questioned my mathematics earlier. I know that tomorrow's the last day of 2021, but if you don't believe that things can turn around like that for you in your life in one day, you better get on that faith train, get on that belief train, because those things can happen. But let me tell you, I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Oh, honey, I have a guest for you tonight. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so actually, you got a little preface about her last week. You remember when I had all those beautiful queens on here and those queen mothers on here, and all of them got to talking about, like, they tried not to, and then it just bubbled up in that spirit, and they told you about this woman who has been shifting and changing and inspiring and helping them in their life, and that name just, woo, it bubbled up off the lips. Well, let me tell you, I have her, the amazing, the incomparable, the fabulous woman herself with me here this week on Leadership Live. I'm going to bring her to you. Just be you also ready. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you the beautiful, the amazing, the illustrious Canisha Cierra Turner. The crowd goes, the crowd started dancing with you, the girl. Oh, hey. What?
Hey. Hello, everybody. How are
Canisha,
you guys?
I am so excited about having you with me tonight on Leadership Live. I'm so excited about having you with me to wrap up this season, this year of Leadership Live.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that you chose me. You know, it's an honor to be on your podcast. So I want people to know that you are thebomb.com. So the fact that you chose me to close out this fabulous, successful year for you, I'm truly honored to be on here and to share some nuggets and some wisdom with everybody who's watching.
Oh, absolutely. Well, what I'm going to do is, take myself out of the way for a second and allow you to introduce yourself, to reintroduce yourself to some and introduce yourself to others. Go ahead, Canisha.
Okay. Well, for those of you all who have been following me for years, you know that anytime I do any type of interview, any type of oration, I have to begin with my life's mantra. It goes, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful, absolutely powerful beyond measure. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, or fabulous? Well, actually, who are we not to be? Quote Marianne Williamson. That is the mantra for my life. It sets the precedence for who I am. I am never afraid. I vowed years and years ago to never be afraid of that person in the mirror. And that's how I lead. So when we talk about leadership and we talk about empowering others, I always remember that quote. And that's how I erect those things that are in others. So I am someone who calls the greatness out of people. My name is Canisha Cierra Turner. I hail from Waverly, Virginia, just a little small town, but I am a Greensboro transplant. I came here for undergraduate at the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. And then I went on to Wake Forest University. And then I started my career here and I started my business, Executive Reign. So all of those beautiful ladies that you saw last week, and I'm sure you followed Dr. Renita's personal page, so you see her two beauties, those are my babies. Those are the ones in which I coach, I mentor, I inspire, and I help to push to the next level. So I look forward to speaking with all of you all tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I know you all are like, oh my goodness. I know. But okay, so even in all of that, she is not even telling you the full breadth of all the things that she does. She is fabulous. She actually is also an author. Like, if you don't know about the HBCU experience, I advise you to get to know it. There's a wonderful chapter in there about this wonderful fish that came out of this small pond, who is now living this amazing and abundant life, written by Canisha Cierra Turner. But there are also several other contributors to this amazing book. Thank you, Ashley Little, for getting.
Yes, shout out to Ashley. Thank you.
Another amazing female leader who's doing great things and being a visionary out here in the world and, impacting lives, but, letting people know about the HBCU experience and the difference that it can make in your life is a huge thing. So, and many other things that Canisha does, but we're going to talk about something tonight that no matter where you are in life, if you are an adult, you've experienced this part of life at some point in time, at least part of it. Because the first thing we're going to talk about is being single, right? Yes. Even if you're married, at some point in time, you are single. So yes, this does relate to you. The second thing you may or may not have experienced, but I hope you do at some point in time in your life, and maybe you have and you just didn't recognize it. The second thing is being successful. And the third thing, and this is something that I wish for everybody's life at some point in time in your life, if not for the majority of your life, is to be satisfied. Hello? To be single, successful, and satisfied.
Yes.
A lot of times we look at this life journey and, there's so many people who have so many different goals, and being single is not always one of them. Being successful is, and some people just don't even know how it feels to think about even considering truly being satisfied. But that success piece is usually something everybody is chasing after in some way, shape, or form. But to be single, successful, and satisfied, honey, darling.
Yes.
Woo-woo! Woo-woo! I am excited about it. So, Canisha, let's jump right into it. You're single.
I am. Loving it. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. Single and loving it, which is why we follow that word up with successful and satisfied. And the reason why I have to clarify that is because single gets a bad reputation in this day and time. It's a negative connotation. A lot of people think single is synonymous with lonely, and it's not. So we're going to talk about that tonight.
Yes. And I think, I am by nature a word person. My undergraduate degree is in English literature in particular. But, I think about words, and, that is a word that has this dirty stain on it. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it came from, because to say that you're married, successful, and satisfied, people are like, oh yeah, they don't understand. Being married is a job.
Absolutely.
It is a full-time, not easy to quit job. And so sometimes we look at the single people like, oh gracious, look at them. They single. Oh Lord, does she also not have children? Oh, days of old. We're getting nostalgic. But to be single, I love that you mentioned to be single, but not lonely.
Absolutely.
But not lonely. So how have you established, going against the grain, which is not really, it's just your life, but going against the grain and, separating single from lonely?
Well, first of all, you have to be satisfied with yourself. Okay. You have to love yourself. And I think honestly, as we go into 2022 and, we look at social media and we look at society, marriage, which is what you just said, a lot of people are pushing marriage. And what people don't realize is we have a lot of marriages that are falling apart. Well, why are those marriages falling apart? Those marriages are falling apart because that singlehood, that stage was skipped. A lot
Mm,
of people are so quick to jump into relationship with someone else before they have a solid relationship with themselves.
right.
You have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn to date yourself so that when someone else comes in the picture, then you're a compliment as opposed to a leech. And so I've learned over the years, again, and I keep it real. You coach with me, so I
Yeah.
keep it real. So when you ask that question, how have I gotten to that point of being satisfied with being single? I'm satisfied with myself. I love myself. I love Canisha Cierra Turner. And, I tell everybody, I say, you all don't know the peace of turning the key to your home to silence.
Mm. Hold up. Let's take a. Ding, ding, ding,
Right. Turning, I'm telling you. Dr. Renina, after a long day, and all of my days are extremely long. I have my corporate America job, and then I have Executive Reign, which is my business. And a lot of times they're working in tandem. And so when I finally get that breather where I can say, okay, I'm off, whether it's 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, I'm finally off from the day to go up and to run a bath, a hot bath, and to light my candles and to put on my music and to pour my glass of wine. Like that is peace for me. And I enjoy that. Or read a good book. I enjoy that. Not saying that I don't want to be in relationship with people, because let me tell everybody,
right.
God desires for us to have a companion. He desires marriage. Marriage is one of the unions that glorifies him. So he desires that. However, you want that marriage to last. And in order for that marriage to last, you have to have peace within yourself. Date yourself. Like I said, that regimen of when I get off, taking a bath, that peace, so that when I begin to be in a relationship with somebody, I'm not bringing toxicity. I'm not bringing drama. I'm whole. I come to you whole. I come to you 100%. I don't believe in the whole 50-50. I wasn't taught
Right.
50-50. No, I'm not bringing half of me, and I don't expect you to bring half of you. We're
Hallelujah.
bringing our complete whole self to each other so that we can push the agenda of the kingdom, which is what marriage was designed to do.
Right. Okay. So many things. So many things. So let me say this. There are a lot of people, and some people don't have this option. But if you do, having the opportunity to live your life on your own before you go into relationship, marriage, whatever kind of relationship with another person, is priceless. It's
Absolutely.
priceless. I know so many people who go straight from living in their parents' homes into living in a marriage home, and they never, ever, ever, they skip this moment of true singleness. I cannot tell you the value of the lessons that I learned in living by myself, the value in the lessons that I learned in buying my own first home by myself, my first car by myself, but all doing these things before I went into a marriage. It changed the conversations that I had. It changed the understanding that I had. It changed the expectations. Hello, somebody that I had in a partner because of the things I had experienced alone. We talk about, I can do bad all by myself. I can do amazing all by myself.
Phenomenally by myself.
Right. And you want to be able to do that so that you
Absolutely.
can do that walking into a relationship as a whole person. Now, I want everybody out there, don't get it twisted. Coming as a whole person doesn't mean you come as a perfect person.
No, absolutely. And I was going to explain that. So thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, you come as a whole person who's had a whole lifetime of experiences to that point, a whole potential lifetime of trauma to that point, a whole opportunity to understand to that point, a whole life.
Absolutely.
You had a whole life to that point, and you need to show up fully as yourself, because whoever your mate is, whoever that person was that was made for you, has also lived some experiences that you need to learn from them, and you've lived some experiences for the other person. But if you don't ever show up fully with your tests and trials on your badges on your shoulder, like a Girl Scout, sometimes you have it on your vest. If you don't have that lived experience with you, There's some things that person needed from you. Some people, some marriages are breaking up because you will not show up with your crap that you've learned from. So you've got to learn from that, because your lessons that you learned were really lessons from that person. We talk about tests to have a testimony. That person needs that testimony so that you all can move forward together. But you got to be full of your singleness first.
Absolutely. And then also understand, what the greater goal is. And I understand everybody has different goals. Okay. One goal does not trump another. I understand that. One of my goals is, if God ever blesses me with the union of marriage, is once we get together, because we're showing up whole, right? I'm showing up with my 100% self. He's showing up with his 100% self. So when we get together, our goal should be, now we are breeding the next generation. So a part of that wholeness, we talk about people living vicariously through their children, or we talk about people getting in a relationship, and they're depending on their significant other for certain things. When you show up whole, you don't have to worry about those things. Your entire focus is the next generation. I tell people all the time, I'm not in a hurry to be a wife, and I'm not in a hurry to be a mom, because my 20s were for me. My 20s were for me to do every single thing that I could have imagined to do. If I wanted in my early 20s, when I was in college, after I got my work done, okay, I was a straight A student in college, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
So it sounds like she did not graduate. Thank you, Loudy.
In 4 years. After I got my work done, if I wanted to party, I could party. When I was in grad school, after I got my work done, if I wanted to go out for a night on the town, or if I wanted to go to Hawaii, or if I wanted to travel overseas, I could do that. So everything that I wanted to do in my 20s, I'm 30 now, I've done it. So when God blesses me with those two things, when he blesses me with the job of wife and with the job of mom, my whole agenda with my spouse is to push the agenda of my children. I'm not taking time to try to live backwards because I have regret for things that I didn't do. And now I'm trying to live those things through my family and my children. No, because everything that I wanted to do, mommy has already done it. Everywhere mommy wanted to go, she's already been. So whatever you want to do, babe, whatever we want to do as a family, whatever activities my children want to do, we can do them, because I've already lived my life. Prayerfully, you've lived yours. And so now we're living for the family.
Right. And the thing is, and I will say with that, so let's take a pen and put it right here. So yes, you've done all the things that you wanted to do in your 20s, but let's not stop living.
Absolutely.
Right?
No.
So now you can live in addition to. So you're not having this situation where, man, I wish I had of, and I wish I had of, and I wish I had of. There's gonna be some things that you still wish you could do, or you desire to do. Let me not say wish you could have done. Some things that you still desire to do, because you're prayerfully, God will continue to give you vision. So let's not get the people
lifelong learners, people, lifelong learners, lifelong goal setters. Yes, that's
lifelong livers.
Absolutely.
Live your fullest life.
Lifelong livers. I love that.
Yeah, so a lot of times, like during this season, when I've returned to pageantry, which God bless Canisha Cierra Turner, she's been a large part of that. But one of the hashtags that I started using was hashtag there is still time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I am in my super late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But I have lived, I feel like I've lived an entire lifetime in this decade. Mm-hmm. I have lived an entire lifetime in this decade. But one of those things, and I think that this return to pageantry was a big step in that.
Absolutely.
Because when I returned to pageantry, I had just, redone the stage. These are things that I did in my singleness, that I thought stopped, because I loved them so much in my singleness. Well, pageantry wasn't. I did that when I was little, like real little, and was not very successful. I had some success, but not like
a little Ryan.
Right. But I had stepped back onto the stage. Thank you, Gina Beasley Tate. And the Point Studio of Dance at the time, now the Point Company and Technique Conservatory, I got to go back onto the stage, and I did Pride Land, a dance adaptation of The Prince of Egypt.
Which was phenomenal, by the way.
Oh my God.
I've seen that show. Oh my goodness. It's just the scene with Nala and with Simba. Oh my goodness. It's just, anywho, keep going.
But no, let me tell you, that still blows me away. Those two performers are
That's magic. That's magic on stage. But
yes. But having that opportunity to step back and do something that I loved as a single person and bring it into my marriage mommy life was like, oh, maybe you can do this.
Right.
But it was knowing that I love that stuff as a single person.
Right.
So when I went to incorporate it into my marriage mommy life, it wasn't such a jolt to anybody. As a matter of fact, it was an opportunity for my children and my spouse to say, you better do that. You better go, girl. One of my biggest cheerleaders that hit the stage again was my daughter. She was like, Mama, you can do this. Like, you got this. My husband was like, okay, well, do we need to clear your schedule? Do we need to clear some time? And, but I would not have known that about myself if I hadn't done certain discovery missions when I was single. Right. And so to bring that into my married mommy life was a huge thing. To follow the lead of my own child back into pageantry.
Right.
And have this platform to be able to talk to other women who were in maybe their marriage mommy life. Maybe they just hit their 30s and thought it was done. Maybe they just look at all these other people, also different size women of color, and have this opportunity to even remind them, if I can do it, so can you. Still time. And maybe your still time is not pageantry. Maybe your still time is something else. But sometimes we have to revert back to what was our passion as a single person.
Absolutely.
And now how can we incorporate it into our marriage mommy time? Or just our marriage time, or just our mommy time, depending on where you are in life. But that singleness is a lesson learning time. It's a self-learning time. I love that you talk about self-love and not skipping the single. Don't be so desirous for a coupling, because some of us get messed up real twisted, and we end up out here in all kinds of ridiculousness because we're so thirsty for coupling that we miss the beauty of single.
So my parents have been married for over 30 years, so I have great examples in the household, beautiful. And again, those 30 years have not been without trials, what has, so, but in seeing that firsthand, my mother has always told me that when you're in a relationship with someone, that person reveals you to you.
Ooh, honey.
So for those who are hopping into relationships just for the sake of, oh, this person's going to make me better, or this person is, honey, it's only going to intensify and magnify whatever those deficiencies you had coming into that relationship that you did not address in singlehood. It's only going to heighten when you are in a relationship. And so that's why, again, it's so important. And it was no shot when I made the comment, about not living vicariously or, taking your 20s for you. But again, we have our ministries are similar, Dr. Renita, but our ministries also are slightly different. So in the season that you're in right now, you're empowering a lot of moms. You're empowering a lot of wives. And that's beautiful. You should. It's never too late. There's always time. However, the season that I'm in, I'm empowering those young ladies who are blinded or whose ears are filled with the noise of society, telling them that this is where you're supposed to be now. And I'm telling these ladies that you don't have to be in a relationship right now just because society is telling you that biological clock is ticking.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. And so when I use the example with my mom, and when she's saying that when you're in a relationship, it reveals who you are in those single years, for most people, it's those 20s when you're building, you're taking that time not only to build wealth, you're taking that time to build credit. You're taking that time to build stamina. You're taking that time to build character. Characters built in your 20s.
Right. A lot.
From 20 to 25 is one type of person. And then from 25 to 30, that character developed even more. You go through several different phases in that one decade of 20s,
Absolutely.
And so when we talk about that, again, my whole mission is to empower that where you are is fine, and look at it from the lens of you are building yourself right now so that when that next stage comes, you're not spending the time looking back, which should have, coulda, woulda, I wish I had. You can move forward. And yes, those things, even more things can be awakened once you're in marriage, and even more things can be, you can inspire your children. But for those ladies who are in this season right now, I need you to look at it glass half full. You are taking the time to build yourself so that when you get to that next stage, you can help to build the next generation. I'm all about generational wealth.
Absolutely. And I love that, the building you're doing is the building years, your 20s. And for some people those building years that continue to your 30s. And let's talk, not to say success stories, but for things that other people looked at and figured that they wouldn't. I had 2 line sisters this year, 2 of them. One is 39 and one is 40. Both of them got engaged this year. And both of them have lived this very full life, and people had counted them out. Please understand out there that 20 is not the end of you.
No.
30 is not the end of you. 40 is not the end of you.
The grave is the end of you. If you are still above ground and you are still living and breathing, it's never too late. It's not the end.
Right. And anything is a possibility. If God has given you the vision for it, it shall come to pass. Absolutely. Don't think that it won't. Let's talk about Sarah and Abraham. Really. They even went a route that they shouldn't have gone because they became impatient. Absolutely. But that still didn't stop the blessing.
Absolutely.
The blessings will come. The vision will come to pass. Even if it doesn't come when you think it will.
Though it carries, wait for it. Habakkuk 2. That's one of my favorite scriptures.
Do not grow weary. That vision is plain. Write it, read it, and run it. Absolutely. Go with that thing. Absolutely. And so I want to transition. So we talk about all these amazing things that happen in your singleness. Once again, embrace your singleness. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be mad at it. Don't look at other people's situation, because please believe me, some people's married is not what you want. At all.
Listen, I told somebody the other day, I said, everybody, again, going back to what I said, everybody who's single ain't lonely, and everybody who's married isn't happy, honey.
Hallelujah.
You are on the outside looking in. Don't you let Facebook fool you, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Don't you let any of those things fool you, because everybody who proclaims happiness is not joyful. And those are 2 different things.
Those are 2 different things. Joy that I have, the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. And okay, so people don't get scared out there. I am very happy in my marriage, but it's a job. That happiness comes with work.
Yes, it does.
Just like I tell my children, I don't like them all the time. Right. I love them
absolutely
all the time, but they're humans. And they're tiny humans and not so tiny humans. I got a son who is 6'4", 260 something pounds. He's not a tiny human, but he's still little to me. I still call him little boy. He's huge. But they're little in lifetime. And so I don't like them all the time because they're tiny humans. They're humans. They're imperfect. They do stuff that is
right.
My husband is a human, not so tiny human, older than me, but he does stuff I don't like all the time. I love them all the time, but we choose intentionally to do the work to find happiness in our marriage, right? Absolutely. To find happiness in our parenthood, to find success in our everything. But that comes from also individual work.
Absolutely.
If I did not choose success, we wouldn't be successful because we are a unit. If he didn't choose success, we wouldn't be successful because we are a unit. So it's this single work, even in a marriage, to choose success daily. Even when we fail, we're still choosing success.
Absolutely.
So
you mentioned something, Doctor, if I could interject.
Go ahead.
You mentioned something about you choosing success and your husband choosing success. That sounds to me that you are in a marriage with someone who's equally yoked.
Amen.
And so in your singlehood, again, going back, bringing all this full circle, when you have gotten to know you and have established your whole self, then you can recognize somebody else who knows them and has established their whole self. And then the 2 of you are compatible so that you can come together and then you can make this marriage work. The reason that you both choose success is because you're like-minded. So for a lot of people who jump out of singlehood too early, they jump into something that fails because they haven't taken the time to examine, is this person truly my equal? Is this person someone who was designed for me? Which again is very important in that singlehood to establish, so that when you jump into a relationship, you're in a relationship with the right person.
Right.
Person
And
is very important.
absolutely. And you won't know what's designed for you. You won't know what equally yoked looks like for you, because this is where people mess up.
Mm-hmm.
They think equal yoke means we got the same degree or same level of degree. We make
Right.
the same amount of money. We
Right.
live in similar situations. And I know this is about to be an unpopular opinion, because it was unpopular to me before I got married, before I met my husband, that if they've already been married, they can't be for me because I've never been married. If they already have children,
We gonna leave my non-negotiables out of this live, okay?
I know.
I have talked about those non-negotiables, and we're gonna make some people hot if I go into it.
Right. But I'm telling you all, my list and God's list were two different things.
Absolutely.
Because on my list, I would have never, in like capital, all caps, NEVER, never gotten with my husband. But I think about my own experiences and knowing where I was, knowing what I desired, knowing, even not knowing the full breadth of what I want to do. Because Leadership Live was not on my docket when I was in my late 20s. At all. Pageants were not on my docket in my late 20s. Let's be in my early 20s, I tried to get a hysterectomy. So at one point in time, children weren't even on my docket, right? Yeah, whole nother story for another day. But there was a lot of things that weren't on my docket then that I was able to dream and vision because I got the right person in place.
Absolutely.
He allowed me to continue to dream, even though my things look different than his things, right? But it's because of who I learned who I was in my singlehood. I knew what success, or the steps to success that I could see at that time, that God had opened up to me, what that was going to look like for me, and what I needed to have in place, what I needed to feel in place, what I could actually deal with that I didn't think I could deal with in place. Hello, I was a stronger person than I knew I was. Read Stepmom, Trials, Tribulations, and Triumphs, and you will understand part of what I'm talking about. But, I would not have known that if I hadn't have established these things in my 20s. But success. When did you discover that where you are right now would be successful for you?
Well, wow. I'm grateful that others view it as success, and I guess in some points, it is, but me, I'm always looking for the next, when you talk about, being a lifelong dreamer, a lifelong liver, that's me. And so I'm honored that, I have been able to do the things that I've been able to do. To God be the glory. He has given me, the ability to do all of those things and to touch all of these people. However, to answer your question directly, I'm still not there. I haven't reached the zenith of success. I'm still climbing. But I think it's one of those things where you look at it based off of seasons. So, so when I was in college, these were kind of the things that I wanted to make sure that I did. And so check those off the list and, superseded those. Again, to God be the glory. All right. Now in graduate, these are some of the things that I want to do. All right. Check. Wonderful. Next, and so that's great. That's great. However, it's always room for more. And so I don't think I look at my life right now and saying, oh, girl, you are a success. Wonderful. I'm successful, but I'm always on the quest for more, because God desires more. There are more people for me to touch. There are more things for me to do. And everything that I do is wrapped up into someone finding out their purpose. And so until I touch that very last person on earth, then to me, that's when I would have reached the zenith of success. But right now, I'm still climbing. Right now, I am still on the quest to fulfilling purpose.
Absolutely. So I think this came up, and I can't remember which episode of Leadership Live, but we talked about being successful. And I remember in that conversation, what we came to was, to be a success is one thing, to be successful is another, like you
Mhm,
just
mhm,
mentioned. But
mhm.
I think that, and this is something that we do together when we talk, and you've encouraged me to do for the past few years, is to take time to do a year in review
Yes.
and to review the things that you have accomplished during that year, which is
Mhm,
always way more than you think of. I've had the opportunity this year to also reflect on my leadership clients and the things that they have done, because that is success for me,
mhm,
some successes. But to have these multiple moments of success makes you
mhm.
full of successes. But
That's
to continue to fill your life with successes helps you to become a success when you've reached the end of your life. I
absolutely.
think, I won't be done with successes or to be a true success until I reach those pearly gates and I hear job well done, my good and faithful servant. But to be full of successes, I think is, this beauty of having this opportunity to reflect every year, maybe every month. Talk to Yolanda Raven, who is absolutely fabulous. We
Yeah,
talk about, doing weekly, quarterly, monthly, all of these reviews and reflections. And I think this is the power of reflection. You talked
absolutely.
about the man in the mirror and in your introduction, looking at this reflection.
Mhm,
And one thing we do in Final Life is we talk about mirror image and
mhm,
what are you doing with this person that you see. So this goes back to kind of a single thing too. Even in your
mhm,
marriage, you have to
mhm.
do this alone. This has to be a you thing. And you look in this mirror, which I know you like to do. You take him your mirror up. Ha! Okay.
I still love you.
Yes, right. So this is what we do. This is so for you and all of your sisters who like this mirror thing. For everybody else who just needs to look in the mirror every now and again, maybe it doesn't have to be like this. Put your thumb in, put it in. But you look in your mirror and you're seeing this person, and you need to reflect and really look at what you're seeing. And
Mhm,
sometimes you have to write that down. I think that's been the power. Either write it down, type it in your notes, do whatever, but
right.
keep track and tally of things that you have done, things that you have checked off of those lists, have lists and actually check them. Know what you have done so you can truly see the multiple moments of success so that you can have this feeling of being successful.
Successful. Absolutely.
Because it's the multiple successes. Sometimes your success is literally getting out of the bed in the morning because we go through trauma.
That's why I said it's defined by the individual. So
Right.
whatever your individual definition of success is, your definition may look completely different from mine. My definition may annoy some people, and that's perfectly fine.
But
That's
also your
perfectly
season
fine.
may speak to it. What you're going through in that season may
Absolutely.
redefine your idea of success.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
during the
So,
beginning of the panorama, pandemic, panacotta, whatever you call it, for a lot of people was, I put on pants today,
mhm.
or I brushed my teeth. Like, it was touch and go for a lot of people there in the pandemic.
Right. Right.
But give yourself grace.
Oh, that's good. That right there, and that's what I have learned to get better at in the past couple of years, showing myself grace because I am so success driven. I told you, I'm always looking for the next. Like, okay, done that, check, next. Because I'm always on that quest. If by chance, something doesn't happen in a deadline that I want it to happen in, or I had to learn. Show yourself grace. You work a lot, girl. You work a lot. This is me talking to CT.
Right.
This is me. You work a lot, and you do a lot, and you bless a lot. So if by chance you don't meet this particular deadline, it's okay. Maybe you had the thought prior to coming home that you were going to come home and you were going to do XYZ, but you fell asleep on the couch, and that's okay. Show yourself grace because you need that rest. Sometimes we're forced to reset, or if it's something that falls through at work or what have you. Again, you know what? I'm human. I err. I make mistakes. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's the grace that we have to learn how to show our own selves, because a lot of times we show others grace. I'll show somebody else grace quick. It's okay. I mean, she's going through a lot, or, I know she's balancing 4 children or blah, but sometimes we need to extend that same grace to ourselves. We truly do.
Absolutely. So we talk about being single, we talk about being successful. And I think that is in that thought of success, I think that's where we're similar. And I think that's why we click. It's because we're constantly, what's next? What's next?
Absolutely.
I've done this. What's next? I've done this. What's
Absolutely.
next? But especially in that, not even in that, but especially in that, to be success driven, which people don't think that we're opportunist or, this negative view of ambition. This is other words that have definitely gotten negative connotation. But in this constant desire to be better, to be bigger, to be better, to be more successful, to bless more, to, impact more, how can you say, and how do you say, and how do you get to the point where you're also satisfied?
Again, it's one of those things of taking a breath. Sometimes in those year in reviews that you discuss that we force ourselves to do, or those quarterly reviews, when we take the moment to look at those lists, seriously, going back to the grace part too, when we look at those lists, you can't help but go, okay, wow. I have been blessed to do all of these things. God has given me the grace. He has given me the coverage to do these things. I travel a lot. I'm behind the wheel, most of the day, and if I'm not behind the wheel, I'm on a plane somewhere, So when I think back, how we used to say in the old Baptist church, when I think on the goodness of Jesus.
And what he's done for me.
And all he's done for me. My soul cries out.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously. So I say all that, when you look at it from that lens, you can't help but be satisfied. So many people have been taken from this earth young, very, very young, 25. I had some friends who I went to college with, that COVID took out. When you look at those stories and you look at those situations, that's where the satisfaction comes from, because God still has you here. And he's graced you to do the things that you've done. And so I say, you know what, God, if you don't do anything else, you've done enough.
Hello.
I am satisfied with this human that you created, known as Canisha Cierra Turner. I am satisfied with the things that you have graced me to do. But if by chance you give me another opportunity, I promise you, I will continue to do more. I'll continue to bless more people. I'll continue to bless more entities, so you look at your year in review and you say, I'm satisfied with that. But at the same token, you keep going.
Right. So this is something that you hear at funerals a lot, which let's not go. It's not depressing, but it to me, it rejuvenates me. Who gets rejuvenated at a funeral? But it talks about,
yes.
I do, because you talk about the dash. What are you doing with your dash? I don't know if this is just in the Black church. You all can let me know if this also happens in other churches, or anywhere else that you do funerals or fumes, for those who call it fume. But they talk about the dash. This has been a thing as of late, like the past 10, 15 years. People talk about your dash. And I think, to have the opportunity to live another day, to have an opportunity to breathe again on your own, to have the activity of your limbs. If nothing else, the people have learned about us in this episode, they know we are church girls, because
absolutely.
To have the activities of your limb, the rightness of your mind, to be able to do these things and to be able to get another day, even if you have experienced any kind of trauma. And some of it is just, the pandemic has been traumaful. I think that at this point, everybody in the world could probably get disability checks for PTSD, because we have been living in the pandemic. Anybody who has ever sat in a line to get a COVID test, trauma. Anybody who's waited for the COVID results to come back, trauma. Like, So that type of trauma. Some people have had physical trauma. Some people have
Absolutely.
had financial trauma. Come on, Yolanda McCoombe. She taught us a lot about that. If you don't follow her, make sure you do. She talks about financial trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And it affects the way we live. It affects the way we function. But if we allow ourselves to find satisfaction in the things that have happened before,
Mm-hmm.
that have been successful, and we get another opportunity to beep, open up in the morning, to wake up in the morning, to get up in the morning, to move in the morning, why wouldn't we want that to be another successful day?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that, finding the balance between that satisfaction and what has been, and God, if you don't do another thing for me, you've done more than enough, to,
Mm-hmm.
you're giving me another opportunity. Oh, I'm not going to squander this day.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to squander this day. And I'm going to plan that you might give me a few more. And if you don't, I fulfilled the things of that day. If
Absolutely.
you do, I'm still here to be a good and faithful servant
Mm-hmm.
yet another day. And so I love that you talk about sitting in that satisfaction, but not becoming complacent in
Yes.
that satisfaction.
Yes. 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 And yes. Again, two different words that cannot be used in the same sentence. A lot of people oftentimes confuse satisfaction with complacency or complacency with satisfaction, and
Right?
they are not the same. They
Not
are
at all.
not the same. You can be satisfied but not complacent. You can be thankful for what he's done,
Right.
but still be on the quest to do more.
Right. Right. Gratitude versus complacency. Ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
You can be happy.
Mm-hmm.
You can be joyful. You can be satisfied. But that does not mean you stop.
Don't stop. Do not stop.
And see here, my Michael Jackson, right? Don't stop till you get enough.
You know I'm an MJ fan. I love me some MJ. God, so.
Look. Sometimes you gotta have a mama say, mama sa, mama kusa moment. Don't stop, and I won't get enough until I'm no longer here. I won't.
Absolutely.
It won't be enough, so I'm not gonna stop. But I am gonna be happy. I'm gonna be godly proud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be excited about. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna look back over and say, "Whoo, we did that," because it's always me and God.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean I'm gonna stop. I am going to be satisfied. I love that. I'm going to be satisfied, but I'm not going to be complacent.
Don't be complacent.
Whew.
Another mantra. So I open with Marianne Williamson, which is my all-time favorite. But something else that I always say too, that I want to be so empty when I get in front of God. Like seriously, I want to use every single thing, every gift that he gave me, every opportunity. I want to use all of those things on this earth. So when I get to him, when he calls me home, I say, God, I come to you empty because everything you gave me, I used it while I was on earth.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, in all of that, as we are coming towards the end of our time,
Already?
I know.
You know we can talk.
Easily. But if there was one thing that you either have not mentioned or that you want to make sure you reiterate to our audience, what would that be?
Well, I definitely, again, when I talked about the ministries, I definitely want to take this time and pour into those young, single, successful, and satisfied young women and young men.
Yes.
Because we often had the misconception that it's just women who fall into that category, and not so.
Right.
We have some successful, satisfied, and single young men as well. Absolutely. So I want to take the time to pour into you and to help you to understand that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. You are in your building years. I cannot say that enough. Take this time to get to know you. Take this time to build you. Take this time to have the relationship that you need with him so that when the time comes for him to send your Adam or to send your Eve, you are ready to receive them and you won't miss them. You won't miss them and you won't confuse them with somebody who's not supposed to be with you. You're exactly where God wants you. It is nothing wrong with being single, absolutely successful, and darn near satisfied.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So, Canisha, for those of people who are out there who are like, oh my goodness, my, I must connect with this woman. I must follow her. I need to know what she does. They were just talking about her last week, and now here she is this week. Oh my goodness, they were not lying. See, we tell y'all the truth. I told y'all the truth. But it wasn't just me who proclaimed about this amazing woman. You had an entire panel of people who talked about her last week. For everybody who wants to follow you, how can they find you? How can they follow you?
Please feel free to follow me on social media, of course, Facebook here. I am exactly what you see on the screen, Canisha Cierra Turner. Follow my business, Executive Reign. And just to clarify, Executive Reign is a pageantry, public speaking, leadership development, and talent management company. So I have young people and older and seasoned clients from 0 all the way up to 1,000 who are heavily involved in the pageant industry, also the entertainment industry. So please feel free to follow Executive Reign as well.
Yes. And that's Reign, REIGN.
Yes.
Not like rain that falls from the sky. Executive Reign. Well, Canisha, as always, one, you are a blessing. You are a blessing. Two, I'm very grateful for your acceptance of me in your life, because I at one point in time I told her she doesn't have a choice. I'm here. We're here to stay, no matter what. But also, thank you for sharing today. Thank you for sharing today. You shared your heart. You wore your heart on your sleeve. You were honest, as always. You know, sometimes I think that you might be the picture in the dictionary when there's the definition for keeping it 100. But thank you. Thank you for reminding us, teaching us, helping us understand that you can be single, successful, and satisfied. Absolutely. Absolutely. But everybody out there, this is it for 2021. Oh my goodness, what a ride this year has been. If you did not catch the 48-week recap this past Monday, go catch it. You should be here today. So this is week 49, the last week of Leadership Live 2021. I told you all back in January to trust me. Trust me. I have now, for 49 weeks and 55 guests, proving to you that you can trust me.
And that deserves.
Hello. This is one. Cheers to you. Cheers to you.
Dr. Renita, what you've done is amazing. You deserve a toast.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And everybody out there, thank you so much for riding with me here in 2021. If it was your first week, great. You can go catch the other 48. If it's your 48th week, God bless you for keeping up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, I'm going to encourage you to keep your leadership all the way live. Enjoy this evening and the final day of 2021 tomorrow. And I'll see you in 2022 with some more amazingness. Love you. Bye, everybody.
Guys.